Hey guys, how are you? Tom McKeown, www.yourtruechange.com. Welcome back. Today I'm here to talk to you about why the vast majority of elite performers, the rock stars, the idols, in basically every industry that we look up to, whether it's athletes, whether it's the business world, musicians, whatever, happen to be the worst trainers, right? The worst coaches out there, okay? And it is something that's very, very interesting because it's almost counterintuitive, right? We always sit there and we think, well, if Magic Johnson was the best point guard of all time, then why wasn't he a good coach for the Lakers? Well, if Isaiah Thomas was a top 5 or top 10 point guard of all time, and led the Detroit Pistons to 2 consecutive championships in the 80s and really was just a fantastic player. Why was he such a terrible coach and basketball executive, right? Or why was Yogi Berra, who really is arguably the greatest catcher of all time for the New York Yankees, why was he a bad manager? And the list goes on with examples, right? Like Wayne Gretzky in hockey, even Michael Jordan, as a basketball, as a basketball executive, he's now the owner and the GM of the Charlotte Bobcats. Why it's just been a flat out disaster, right? And this is only in sports, right? We're not, even talking about the business world as well. But the same principles really apply where the, top performers, the best people at their craft and at their profession, they tend to be people who simply happen to be the worst teachers and coaches. And it's very, very, very simple if you really look and you really consider why, right? And it comes down to the fact that the skill sets, the knowledge, and the traits of the elite performers in any industry or field are simply not duplicatable to the masses. So what happens is if you're a top salesperson or you're a top company executive and you know how to do something really, 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 really well and you get paid handsomely for it, you really some people, there might be an exception to the rule, but the reality is you've never been in a position where you have had to go through the grind and through the, blood, sweat, and tears and the hard work and the long, long, long times it took to get things done that the majority of people do, right? It's kind of like if you're in a math class and, you see that some people have to sit there and take every single note and have to ask the teacher every single question and stay there at night and study everything just to get, a B plus. And there's some people that can sit in the back of the room and just watch things, and they come in the next day. They don't really, study that much, or they don't study at all, and they get an A. And it's because they have an innate ability to connect in certain subjects and certain types of they've got a mental capacity that just happens to take in certain information better, right? Who's going to be the better teacher and the better coach? Well, it's probably going to be the person that sat in the front row who was taking all the endless notes for countless hours, staying up studying all night, the grinder, right? This person realizes that, what the vast majority of people have to go through in order to accomplish that, right? And the elite performers in any field really don't. Things come more naturally to them. So the only way that you teach others and that you coach others is if you create processes and systems that are duplicatable. If you do not do that, if you just simply, try to show people how to do things based on your skills, it's not always going to work, right? I myself have made a tremendous amount of mistakes in trying to implement training systems that simply were not duplicatable for most people. Now, I'm not trying to say that I'm better or I'm superior or I'm more gifted. I'm just saying in certain areas I have more experience, just like many people have way more experience than I do in a lot of areas, right? But what I realize is that you need to create a very simplified, very vanilla process for people to follow, okay, in steps, whether it's 3 steps, 5 steps, 10 steps, and have them do it over and over and over again until they become an expert at it, right? You can't simply think that they're going to have the equivalent innate ability that you do. And that is why the elite performers fail, because they never had to stop and say, is there a better way to do this, right? Is there an easier way for me to get my 20 points a game than, simply taking, tons of shots or having to bully my way to the basket and risk injury? Is there an easier way to make, close all this business as opposed to calling thousands of prospects a week, right? It's the people that grind and go through the inefficiencies and go through all the garbage that start to sit back and say, is there a better way to do this process? And they create that, and they either succeed or they don't. But the people who are super performers typically don't go through all that because they have an innate ability that most people don't, right? So the people who are the absolute best are not always the best teachers. In most cases, they're not going to be. So what I'm saying is you want to find the people that have gone through the grind. Those are going to be the best coaches and the best teachers, right? And whenever you're looking for a mentor and whenever you're looking for somebody who can realistically serve you the best in that field by teaching you, you want to find those people who have, kind of some glaring weaknesses in their background from their past, because they clearly didn't get to the success that they're at now by not working really, really hard, right? They didn't win the lottery, not most of them anyway, right? They got there because they worked their ass off, and you want to find out how they did that, right? Some people are just natural people who never had to go through that, right? How many times have you seen how many times have you seen an interview with certain people who are successful, whether it be, with any type of business or company, whether it be with a network marketing company or an athlete, and they get asked, what's your success? And they give these really simple, answers. And the reality is that, a lot of times it's because for them it was that simple, right? But for most of us, like for example, when I look at an athlete like a Wes Welker, right, or a true grinder like a Chris Paul, a smaller guy who clearly is gifted, but really had to work on their craft for a very long time to get where they were, and they get asked, what's your success? It's usually due to hard work and determination and perseverance, right? Not just these simple things like wake up and play, like a lot of people say, like all the elite players say. So you're looking for the people that have put in the hard work, that have put in the blood sweat, and tears, and people that have put in the true perseverance. Those are the people that you want going to create systems for you that are going to be duplicatable for you to follow, okay? So now you know why most elite performers and most people at the top of their fields are typically not the best people to learn from. It's the people who are right behind them, who have a couple of spots, in their past where you're looking to say, this person really worked their freaking ass off. Tom McKeown, www.yourtruechange.com.